everyone. Welcome back to Stop Settling. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to talk about a really important and harder to do in practice than it is in theory concept. And before I get into it, if you would take our quiz, again, it's only a 5-minute ask. I promise you'll enjoy it. It won't be any pain or money. So just try to give yourself a 5-minute break today and take the Stop Settling quiz and figure out where you are and where you want to be. And as always, if you'd subscribe here at YouTube and also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dana to the Fifth for lots more juicy tidbits, tools, and advice, and also to have a dialogue and discuss your thoughts and feelings about all of these topics. Today's of which is a pretty serious one having to do with inclusion or lack thereof. And I've been working on a piece with a dear friend, Amy Doyle. Shout out to Amy, who is an executive at Manpower Group. And I really love the way that they think about the way to go from thinking about diversity and really conscious about your plans for becoming a more diverse company, group, team, and even board of directors, and moving through that spectrum from being kind of thinking about and aware of we need to be diverse to how do you take action and get yourself to a point of being unconsciously biased, which most of us are. We have bias. We're just not really aware of it. And then moving through that with some work and some conversation and some role models, frankly. I have so many to share with you that show the way on how to really lead your life at the ultimate, which is unconscious inclusion. It just happens on autopilot. But before that, we have to admit where we are and be realistic. So we kind of move from that diversity spectrum through, and you can see the image here, unconscious bias. We are biased, but we're not awake about it. And then conscious inclusion, an active stance to be inclusive across all races, all sexes, all places in life, globally, culturally, every aspect of the rainbow coming together. Looks a little bit like the icon in the Stop Settling and Phoenix to the Fifth logo by design. That's meant to be a multifaceted gem, but you'll notice all the colors, including there's some elements of both black and white. You just can't see them to your naked eye. Take the quiz, you'll find out. And ultimately ending up your journey toward diversity and inclusion with unconscious inclusion, meaning that like an autopilot scenario, you don't have to force yourself to think about whether or not you're breathing. So all of that happens behind the scenes. You're not making a conscious mental effort or heavy lifting to get that to happen. The goal that my friend Amy and I have in the piece we're working on for the blog that's coming out is all about the way that we live our lives and true stories of how we've moved through that journey, which is really challenging, especially when you take notice of, oh, I'm thinking about diversity. I'm trying to act more that way, but in fact, I have some bias. It's inside of me. I may have been born with it. I may have learned it. I'm trying to actually open my eyes, my heart, and my mind. And then I get more conscious about it. And I all of a sudden see, I am more inclusive. And I feel more included too. It's a two-way street. And ultimately the goal for every corporation, leader, and individual is to live in a world with unconscious inclusion, where it just simply happens. And if you don't think it can happen, take a look at our children. They don't see the barriers we see a lot of the time, especially when they're really little. They just know they want to play, they made a new friend, and what they have in common is Play-Doh. So let's take a note from the kids. Let's open our eyes, minds, and hearts and explore the possibilities. And let's take an active stance on our journey towards treating people in an inclusive way, even when they're different. And that's it for today. So again, thank you for joining as always. Your comments, feedback, debate is welcome. We can do that right here on YouTube, or you can actually ask for answers or make comments to me direct. Answers at Phoenix to the Fifth, and continue to follow and share what we're doing here. If you like it and you want to be part of the movement, on Instagram and Twitter at Dana to the Fifth. And we'll see you soon.